also known as the sparkly one. Today I'm showing you how to make this adorable baby blanket. Now this is all just done in pink and white with Caron Simply Soft yarn. It's 36 inches by 36 inches and it's just perfectly square. I'm calling this blanket Granny at the Center because it has just one granny square right in the center. And I just think it's so cute and it's so soft. I'll show you that I used a lot of popcorn stitches in this, and I made them right down here, so they look like little hearts, and I think it just looks so sweet. It's perfect for any little girl who loves pink. And then also the popcorn border is so pretty. So let's go ahead and get started. For this pattern, I'm using a size I crochet hook. It's a little worn out right here, but it's a 5.5 millimeter. You can use whatever size hook you want. And to start this with your main color, so I only have 2 colors going on in this blanket, but you can use as many colors as you want. But for the center, you just make a magic circle, or you can start it however you see fit. I like using the magic circle. Whoops, chain 2. Then you're going to do 2 double crochets into your magic circle. 1, 2, then you're going to tighten that up just a little bit. Chain 1, and then you're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So the goal here is to chain 1 in between your 3 double crochets, and you want 4 groups of 3 double crochets, and the chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. Normally we do 3 chains, but I'm going to explain why I didn't do that in a second. So what you're doing is correct. So 3 more, and then a chain 1. Tighten that up as you go along, and then 3 more into the center, and these are double crochets. Chain 1. Now the reason that I did 2 chains at the beginning instead of 3 like you normally would do, I found it's easier to do that because what you're going to do, instead of going into the top of the chain 3 to join, you're going to go into the top right here of that first double crochet and go under both of those loops. Make sure that your strands are yeah. Then you're going to pull through and do a slip stitch. Now if you can see this, this is why I did this. So normally if you have a chain 3 and you go into the top, it kind of lays funny right here with that stitch, and you don't know, do you have 3 or do you have 4 double crochets to go back into? So this way, by putting the chain 2 and then the one at the top, when you slip stitch, it makes it all uniform. Now you're going to add your next color, and mine is white in this case, and I'm just going to pull through with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to pull down on the pink so it hides that pink one that I just did to join. Okay, like that. Do you see? And then here I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to chain 3 with my white, and then make sure that you pull down on this pink so it's not showing right in there, because if you loosen that up, it will just keep coming up and it will look like another stitch, and you don't want it to look that like an extra stitch. And then what we're going to do here, so kind of hold on to your ends, like hold on to the ends over here, because we're going to work over those going to yarn over. You're going to go into this space right there. Do you see that? In this first one, you're going to go with 4. You're not going to count the chain 3, okay? So you remove your hook. You're going to go into this top right here of this first double crochet. You're going to put your yarn over your hook. You're going to pull it through just like that. So you made your popcorn. Then you're going to chain 1. Now what we're doing is we're making a corner. So we don't want to put another popcorn in here yet, because when we come back around, we're going to put another popcorn here. So we want 2 popcorns in every corner except for the first space that you start, because we're going to finish with the popcorn. I'll show you later why we're doing it that way. Then you're going to chain 1. In the middle double crochet, you're going to do a popcorn. So don't forget, like every double crochet has a space to go in at the top. Now don't skip this first one. You have to count that one as 1. So you're not going to go in this space, you're going to go in the middle one. So this one belongs to this third one. So I think a lot of people make a mistake on grannies because they forget that this one is the top of the first double crochet, because it's usually covered by another stitch. So just make sure you don't miss it. So you're going to go in the top of that middle one, and you're going to make 4 double crochets. And then you're going to make a popcorn. So you pull out your hook and you go into this first double crochet, insert your hook, pull it through, chain 1. Now this portion right here is going to be your corner. So anytime you have an open space, it's the corner when you first start your centerpiece. So yarn over, and you're going to do 4 more double crochets to make your popcorn. Okay, just like that. Go into this space right there. Put your yarn on your hook and pull through. Chain 1. And now this is the corner. So you're going to do 2 popcorns in that same corner. So double crochet 4 times. Okay. Again, you're going to make your popcorn, put that in there, pull this over and through, and now you've made your second corner, but this one's only partly finished. So don't get discouraged. You're doing it correctly if you see it like this. Chain 1. Okay, you're going to go into the middle of this little cluster right here. So remember, this is being covered, this first stitch, by the white yarn, because normally you would go in here at the top of a double crochet if you wanted to count that. So you're just going to yarn over, you're going to go in the middle one with another popcorn stitch. Hopefully I'm not confusing you. If you've done this before, you'll know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, then it does get a little confusing. So you're making a popcorn, chain 1, and then here is that space again, the chain 1 space. You're going to do 2 in there because that's the corner, 2 sets of popcorn. So I'll speed this up a little bit, and I'll see you when I do the middle one. So now I'm to the middle, and I'm going to go in that double crochet with another popcorn. And then I'm going to do 2 in the next corner, and then I'll show you when I get to the end and how to finish that space that I was talking about. Okay, I'm finishing up my last one. So I told you to only do 1 in the first space. So now we're going to go ahead and finish it into that space. So we have 2 in this corner. So that will be our final popcorn on this round. So let me show you how to end that. So we have 4. You're going to make a popcorn. I'm going to pull that through, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to join. So let's go ahead and look at this, because this was our chain 3 space that we had at the beginning. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into this space right here. So you have your chain 3 and then this little space right there. That's where you're going to slip stitch. And that way it's connected at the top and it looks great. So it doesn't look uneven like this first, where I did it on my first go round. I put that chain 3 and I did only 3 double crochets, and I should have done 4. So that one lays kind of flat, so I'm trying to avoid that for you. At this point, what I'm going to have you do is just cut if you want to yarn over and work that in the end piece, that's great. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut at the end of every color, because that way it just looks, it just makes it easier so you can join anywhere. So just cut that and ignore it for now, and then we're going to join with our pink. So wait, let me cut this. So I'm just going to cut all of these ends to the same length, and then I'm just going to, you can either weave it in now with, you can weave it in with a yarn needle, and then that way you'll have all of your ends tucked in as you go. But I'm just going to go ahead and let them dangle for now. So just ignore those. Don't let them bother you. You can do it before or after. So these are your corners. 1, all of these are your corners. You have 4 corners. So you're just going to slip stitch in between right there where you had a chain 1, and then you're going to join with your pink or whichever color you want. And then I always take the short piece and I use that to secure it to my project, and then I just pull that down and it just makes it more secure. You're going to chain 2, and the reason I'm doing that is because of what I told you at the beginning when we did this row right here. I'm going to use the chain 2 method versus the chain 3 method to join. So I'll show you that too when we get to the end. So you're going to do 2 double crochets, you're going to chain 1, you're going to make another set of 3 double crochets, just like that. Do not chain 1 in between these. So you don't want to chain in between these spaces. You only want to chain 1 in the corners, okay? So when you're going into these spaces, you don't need to you don't need to chain 1. So you're going to do 3 in this one. So you're in between the popcorns, and then 3 in this one. And then you're just going to go into this. This is a corner, so you're going to do 3 double crochets. You're going to chain 1 because it is a corner, and go back into that same space with 3 more. And then you don't want to chain 1, so you're just going to do 3 double crochets in between the popcorns, and you're just going to do that all the way around. So I will meet you back at the beginning, and then we'll move on from there. Now I'm back at the beginning, and I just want to join at the top of this. So I only did a chain 2 and then 2 double crochets. So I'm going to go into the top of that double crochet right there, and I'm going to slip stitch. And that gives me a nice finished edge for my beginning row right there for my chain 2. So this looks a little funny because it's kind of tight and pulled, but once you shape it up, it'll be perfectly fine. So that is the beginning of your granny at the center. Now we're going to go on to row 4. So I cut my yarn and then I'm going to weave that in later. You're just going to join in the corner space right here. You're just going to join it with a slip stitch. So you're going to pull that in here. I'm going to use the short end to secure it, just like that. And then I'm going to pull it down and secure it so it's nice and tight. And then in this corner, I'm going to make a chain 3. And then I'm going to be making my popcorns. So it's going to be these popcorn stitches, and it's going to make a little heart in each corner. So we're on the white row right now. So to do that, you're going to do the chain 3, and the chain does not count in the popcorn, okay? So go ahead and make 4 double crochets for your popcorn, just like you did before. Don't count this chain, and go into the top of the double crochet and make your popcorn. You're going to chain 1, then you're going to do another popcorn into that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to go into the top of that double crochet right there, the first one, pull through. Then what we're going to do, you don't chain on that, just yarn over and you're going to make another double crochet. So we're going to go into all of these double crochets across here. Now these are sets of 3, so in the corner you had 3, that's 3, 6, 9. You should have 12 in that space between the corners. You're going to go into all 12 with a double crochet. Now to do that is a little tricky because you have to move this one out of the way and find where you're going to go into that top of that double crochet. So you do kind of have to push it back a little bit and then get into that top of that double crochet. We don't want to miss it because we need 12 in here. So just go across with 12 double crochets in the top of each of the pink double crochets. And in this one you can carry your yarn over because you're covering it up. You're not making any spaces. So just go ahead and go across there. Make sure you have all 12 filled in, and I'll see you when I get to the corner. So I'm almost to the corner, but I want to show you this because this is a chain 3 space that we started with. So you're going to want to go into that space. That's the only one that's going to look a little weird right there, but make sure you go into that. Okay, then you can go into the next one. There should be 2 there and then 1 here. So go back and count and make sure you have 12 in between. So these are your popcorns. So don't count that. So you have 1, 2, can you see that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then you're going to put 2 popcorns into the corner. You're just going to do that all the way around, and then I'll see you at the beginning. And again, I am not going to count that chain 3, so I'm going to go into the space at the top right here to join. So just open that up and do a slip stitch. And now you should have 12 stitches in between each of your corners. And I know it looks kind of round, but just if you stretch it out a little bit and shape it up, it'll be a perfect square. Look how cute that square is. I just love this. It's so sweet. You're supposed to tighten up your center, and just like that, so you don't have a big hole there. This is row 5, and with your pink, we're going to be doing this section right in here. And then you're going to see where these two popcorn stitches are in the corner. So right before the first popcorn, you're going to put your hook in there and attach your pink yarn or whatever color you have. And then you're going to, I always use the short end to fasten that on just to make it a little more secure. Then I switch back to the other long tail, and then I'm going to chain 4, 3, 4. So for all the corners between these popcorns, you're going to do 4 chains, and you're going to go into you start in the one before the popcorn and then go into the one after the second popcorn with a slip stitch. So this is a chain 4. Then for the rest of the spaces, you're going to do chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to skip 3 stitches. So you're going to skip this first one. So like when we did at the in the white row, if you remember, I had you kind of pull apart the popcorn and see, I didn't want you to miss this first stitch at the top here. So you have 1, 2, 3. So you're going to count the 3 white stitches, and you're going to go in between the third and the fourth one with a slip stitch. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And you're going to find the 3 stitches, and you're going to go into this stitch right here, and then that one right there, and that one right there. Okay, that works out. Then you're going to go in, you're going to count 3 stitches and go into the next one with a slip stitch. Oops, I'm falling off the camera. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, you're going to skip 3 and go into this fourth one right there with a slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you have 3 left. So you have one right next to the popcorn. So you're going to go in right there at the popcorn, and then, well, to the right of the popcorn. Then you're going to chain 4, and then you're just going to repeat that around. So then you go back to this right after the popcorn, go into that stitch, and then you're going to count 3 and go into this one. So continue all the way around until you have all your chain 3 spaces and then your chain 4 in the corner. Chain 3, and you're going to slip stitch into that space where you started. And then here you're just going to do 3 single crochets, just like that. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then each of these spaces right here. So you have where you slip stitched right here. I want you to do a double crochet into that space. Then you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to double crochet into that next space where you did your slip stitch, just like that. So you're going to do that all the way around. You're going to do the corners. So you're going to do the 2 or 3 single crochets, chain 2, 3 single crochets in each corner, and then just 2 single crochets in each chain 3 space and a double crochet into your slip stitch space. So do that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the beginning. So now when you get back around to the first stitch over here, you're just going to double crochet into this last stitch right here, like that. And then you're just going to slip stitch to join in that space. You're going to slip stitch. You're not going to count this stitch. You're going to count this one. You're going to go in there. So that's 1, 2, into this corner where that chain is, this chain space. So what I want to show you is that after this double crochet, you want to make sure you have 3 slip stitches, just like that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you slip stitch into the corner, then you're going to, double crochet into the chain 2 space, And then you're going to treble crochet into that open space. You're going to go in through with your hook. You're going to go in between these two popcorns, go to the back, and finish your treble crochet. You're going to do that 2 more times, and then go right in there. So you're going between, down into that space. It's a little tricky, but I think you'll figure it out. So that's 2, and you're going to do 1 more. You go into that big hole right there below. Go into the popcorn in between with your treble. And then you're going to double back into this chain 2 space right here. And then what you have is this little corner that you started. Okay, then you're going to go into the back loops only of the next 3 stitches with a single crochet. And then you're going to slip stitch above that double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Then above this double crochet, you're going to slip stitch into the top right there, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you're just going to repeat that until you get to the next corner. And here is 1 right here. 1, 2, 3. Here's your last one before the corner. So you're going to do a slip stitch. Then in here you're going to do, there's 3, 1, 2, 3 back loops only, single crochet, 1, 2, 3. And then there's that chain 2 space. You're going to put in a double crochet. And then here comes your trebles. You're going to go in between the popcorn. So treble and go to the back, push it through, go between the popcorn with the treble. You're going to do 3 of those in that space. One, 2. You're going to go up through, up through that hole right there, and then open the popcorn, go between it, and that's your 3rd one. Then you're going to go back into this chain 2 space with another double crochet, and then you're going to go into the back loops only of the next 3 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and these single crochets are inside of this area right there. And then as you can see, you have a double crochet right there. You're going to slip stitch, chain 3, and then go all the way around on the top of those double crochets. So just let me go back here and show you the corners. There's your corners. So once you get that all complete, it'll look much better. Right now it looks a little weird, but just go all the way around, slip stitch to the beginning, and then I'll meet you right there. I am back to the beginning. Just slip stitch underneath that first single crochet. A little tough right there for a second, just like that. And that's what it should look like at this point. And you can kind of just stretch it out a little bit and get it to shape up on the corners. So just go ahead and cut your yarn. So let's move on to the next row. And then we're going to join with the white yarn. We're going to be doing this white row right here underneath those stitches. So we're going to go ahead and do that. That is row 8. You're just going to join in any chain 3 space with your white yarn. We're going to attach the yarn with the tail. And then switch back over with the other. And you can work over your yarn at this point with this one. You're going to, oops, sorry, I gotta pull that down more. Sometimes they get a little unruly. Do 3 single crochets in this space. 3 single crochets in that space. And then you're going to do motorcycle, hello, 3 in the next space. And so in all of these chain 3 spaces, you're going to have 3 single crochets in each space. Then I'll show you when we get to the corner what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to be doing a single crochet in every space. You're just going to go into all of these. So in this space right here, you should have 3 in each, each area before the double crochet. You're going to do the next 3 single crochets in there. So before every corner, you should have 3 single crochets, and then you have a double crochet. So you're just going to single crochet in the top of that double crochet. And then remember here you have 3 trebles, so you're going to do 1 in each of those trebles. So you have 3 there. And then you have a double, so you're going to do 1 in there. And then again, you're going to have 3 single crochets, and you're going to go into each of those. That's 3. And then it leads you to the chain 3 space, which you do 3 in each chain 3 space. So continue all the way around, and I'll see you when I get back to the beginning right here. I've reached the end, and right here at the beginning, you're going to put a slip stitch underneath that first single crochet. So here you have it. Let me just pull that up and let me show you. We went around the whole entire square, and it does get easier after this because you're just going to be doing a more repetitive pattern. So this is why I called it the granny at the center, because this is so pretty. I love this granny square, and I just wanted it to be the center of attention. So I hope you like that. You can actually stop here if you want and just continue making a bunch of granny squares. I think that would be so pretty as a blanket with a bunch of them sewn together. But we're gonna go ahead and do the granny stitch, okay? So we're gonna move on to this row right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch to get to this little valley right there. So you're just going to put in your hook, slip stitch right on over to this portion right there, and see this little valley right here, this little stitch, that's where we want to be. So just slip stitch into there, just like that. Then you're going to chain 3, and you're going to do 2 double crochets in there, 1 and 2, just like that. So this will be your beginning cluster right there. And then you're going to do 3 in every space right here. These little stitches that go in between. So 1, 2, 3. And then just continue around till you get to the corner. 2, 3. And then 1 more right here before you get to the corner. 1, 2, 3. And then you have this area right here. We did this one, and then you're gonna skip 2 stitches. Okay, then you're gonna yarn over and you're gonna go in between the stitch. So you have your double crochet right here and your single crochet. I want you to go into this space right here before your double crochet with 3 double crochets. And then get to your corner, and you have to find the middle of the trebles. So you have 1, 2, 3 trebles. So you're gonna go into this space right here, which will be skipping 2 and going into there with a double crochet, cluster of 3. Chain 2. I'm gonna go back into that same space, because we're in a corner, just like that. And there's your corner. So again, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, yarn over, and you're going to go in right before this double crochet right here. You're going to go, or right after, should I say, into that space with 3 double crochets. You're going to go into that space right after the double crochet, and then you're going to skip 2 and you're going to go into this little valley right here, which is that slip stitch space. So you're just going to go all the way around and keep repeating that till you get to the beginning, and then we'll move on to the next row. Okay, so I just wanted to say, somehow on mine, and you might find this on yours too, that I had to skip just 1 stitch here versus 2 to get to this middle treble, and then I skipped 2 on this side. So yours might be a little uneven like mine, but it actually will work out. So you don't really fret too much over it, because it's gonna look just fine. Nobody will ever notice except for you, and maybe not even you. So let's just move on. If yours worked out evenly, that's awesome. For some reason, mine didn't turn out even, and that was kind of bumming me out. But you know, after you've come this far and you've done so much work, I don't even know if it's worth it to tear it out. But if you want to, you can. And I tried to make it as even as possible. For some reason, I don't know if I skipped a step or what, but if you guys find the mistake, let me know, because I'd be interested to find out where it was. But anyway, I'm just going to continue, and it's going to work out just fine. So I'm not too worried. And then over here, when you're done, you're just going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. And if you can get your hook in there, slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, pull through, and then we will continue with the pink. So we just did this row right here, and I think it looks pretty darn good, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. At every other row, I put a popcorn stitch in the corners to look like little puffed hearts. So if you can see here, I did 1 row of white, and then I did 4 rows of pink, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of white, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of pink, and for the last round, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows to end with. So after you've weaved in all of your ends, then go ahead and start in any corner. And I like to join with the tail first, the tail right there, because it gives it more stability. And then you just pull the other side down like that. And then I'm going to chain 2. Then I'm going to single crochet in each corner 3 times. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3 stitches. I know this looks odd, but when we join it at the end, it will look fine, because we're going to be going under that stitch And this will give us the height that we need, because this will be pulled down. So you're going to do 3 in each corner. And these are all single crochets. And I'm working over my yarn. And then I'm going to single crochet in every stitch around. There's no spaces between, so you're just going to go in every single stitch all the way around. So don't go in between the clusters, okay? You're just going in the stitches. So I just want to remind you, when you get to the corner, just go underneath and do your 3 single crochets. So all the other stitches we are going into the top of the stitch, but when you're doing the corner, you go into the corner. Okay, then when you get to the end, all you're going to do is slip stitch underneath that first single crochet, just like that. Now I want you to slip stitch to the corner, and that is the middle of the 3 single crochets. So you're slip stitching to the middle one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this stitch right here is the middle. So you don't need to go into that stitch, but you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches. You're going to go into the 4th chain, or that you're going to go into the 4th single crochet with a slip stitch. So we're going to make loops all the way around. So you're going to chain 5, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and go into the 4th stitch. Continue down the side, and when you get almost to the corner, I'm going to show you what we can do if you don't have 3 stitches to skip. Okay, so just go ahead and finish to the corner. When you get to the corner, you're still going to chain that 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And depending on how many stitches you have, now mine worked out perfectly, and if you did exactly what I did in my rows, the same amount of rows, you should have the same amount of stitches. So I'm going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and this happens to be the center of that corner stitch, which works out perfect. But for instance, if you don't have 3 to skip and you only have 2, just go ahead and skip 2 and then go into the corner, and then keep it even on this side, skip 2, and then again start with your skipping 3 and going into the 4th. Hopefully that makes sense, but that should even up your blanket if you don't have enough stitches. So crocheting is very forgiving, so I just want to make sure that you don't pull it out, that you just make do with what you have, and it should be fine, so don't worry about it. So mine, as you can see, did work out to that corner. Let's move on. Just continue all the way around the blanket with chain 5, and then the same exact thing. Skip 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, if you did 2 here, skip 2 and go into the 3rd one, and then continue back with your normal pattern. Okay, so I've come to the end of my last chain 5, and I'm just going to go into the middle space underneath that first place that I started, and then it will connect just like that. You're not going to fasten off, but once you're here, then we're going to make a little picot in this corner. Okay, I want you to chain 3 and then go back into that same space that you did when you slip stitched, and just pull through with another slip stitch. So you're making this little loop right here, right in the corner. So I want you to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and in the middle of that 5th chain, so you have 5 here, so you're going to count to the 3rd chain, and you're going to go into that chain with 2 strands on top of your hook. You're going to make a slip stitch. You're going to chain 3. You're going to go down here to the slip stitch that you did when you joined those spaces in between, and you're going to go right under here with another slip stitch. What you're doing is you're making these little scallop edges. So we have a little chain 3 here, chain 3 there. So we're going to do that all the way around. So you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, go into the 3rd stitch, which is the middle of the 5, with a slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, you're going to go into that slip stitch right there underneath with another slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and just keep repeating it. When you get to the corner, don't forget to make that little loop. So you're going to go into this space just like normal. You're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to go into the same space again because you're making a little loop right in the corner. It's easy to miss, so make sure you do that. Just going to do that all the way around, and when you get to this point, just fasten off and you're all finished, and you have just a simple little lacy border. Here's the loop at the end. I just did my very last I did my very last chain, and I slip stitched right here into this stitch. I didn't go below here, just make sure you go into the edge right there with the slip stitch. Okay, let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into this little space in the corner. So this is your corner, if you can see that. And you're going to chain 3. And then you're going to do 4 double crochets. So you did them all in the same stitch in that corner. You see that? So it looks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With the chain 3, we have 5. I'm gonna pull up that loop just like we've done the whole blanket, and you're gonna chain 1. Then you're gonna come over here. Now, each of these little chain spaces that we made right here, we're gonna do a chain, we're gonna do 4 double crochets in each one and make a popcorn stitch. So we're gonna be doing this all the way around with the chain 1 in between. So I chained 1 going into that first open space right there with 4 double crochets. Take out your hook, go to the top of that first double crochet, insert your hook and grab the other loop right there, chain 1, and then go to this next little open space. So this one we're not doing anything in, but right here where you did that little chain 3, I think it was a chain 3, and then you're going to do 4 in each one with the popcorn. So your whole border is going to have these little popcorn stitches which carries through the entire blanket. And I just think it's adorable. Just like that. So I'm on my last popcorn stitch. You're just going to go into the top of the stitch right at the back at the top of the chain 3, and you're just going to make a slip stitch. And that's it. And then after you tie that off and fasten it and weave in your ends. This is what I'm doing around the blanket. Just wanted to show you this because it's kind of interesting because it kind of gets a little bit tight and we don't want it tight. Like this is the side over here that I think is tight and this side is nice and spaced out and it has these kind of like loopy chains up here and I think that looks really pretty. So what I'm doing is after I'm all done, I'm going back around and I'm just giving it a tug. So watch what happens. Do you see that? They pull apart. And just kind of do that, whoops, on each space. So see, it's all nice and tight together. Tug it, and then it loosens it up. So, I mean, you can leave it either way, but I like the way it looks with those little loops. So you just keep pulling it apart. And you can feel it. It kind of clicks a little bit. And this one didn't come, oh, yeah, that's fine. And then just go all the way around your blanket and just pull them apart, a little tug. And I think that just looks better. It loosens it up so it doesn't curl. So anyway, just I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to show you what it looks like at the very end. And if you have time and you want to add a little bit more of a thicker border, you can always keep going. You can always add more. And what I would do probably is I would go into these loops here and maybe do just a little scallop on the edge. So it's kind of fun. You can have creative freedom as you go along and just do what you want to do. Whatever looks pretty to you is how it should look. Don't let anybody's crochet patterns detour you from making what you like.